Rev up your engine! Okay, today I'm helping out a disabled veteran. Took his Nissan to the Nissan dealer. They wanted to sell him a whole bunch of stuff. Let's see if any of it is needed. Now the check engine light's on, but it's running okay. Now he realizes one thing, that it has a cold air intake and a modified exhaust system. So he's gonna get it tuned for that. And for that, he's gonna go to a Nissan specialist who does race tunes, who sets them up right. You're gonna put that stuff on, you gotta get them tuned right. I mean, you can just bolt them on and drive, but they're never gonna run perfectly. It runs good enough, but he wants it to run better. That's besides the point. They were trying to sell him a bunch of stuff. They said that it needs an air-fuel ratio sensor. I would never put one on this car until it has been tuned, because with the mods it had, it'll often trip a code because it's not set up right. Realize one thing, trouble codes are relatively generic. Just because you get an oxygen sensor code, or in this case it's an air-fuel ratio sensor, basically just a fancy oxygen sensor, it means that system is off. It doesn't mean that's the problem. It can be that it's running too rich or too lean because of the cold air intake and the exhaust, and that needs to be adjusted, rather than just throw your money on a sensor that isn't probably going to fix anything. Check engine light is on, so we're going to check that first. Plug it in here. Now it's coming on. It's got the air-fuel sensor ratio code. And it also has the same code pending. As I said, I would not advise just going out and buying one. I would have this car tuned first. When you start putting things like cold air intakes and an exhaust system on the car, it will often change the air-fuel ratio, and the computer has to be reset to accept the new values, so it runs right. As we can see here, starts right up, isn't particularly shaking, it runs good enough. Now as you rev the engine up, you can hear a little popping because of the cold air intake and the exhaust change. Listen. You can hear a little popping. Hear the pop, pop, pop. That needs to be set first before you go start changing sensors on this car. Another relevant code it has is U1000, loss of CAN communications. It happens in older cars, so of course we're going to check the battery, make sure it's not just a low battery, and look at the wires, make sure they're not corroded or loose. We hook up the battery tester. It's 640 called cranking amps. There, that's close enough. Well, there's nothing wrong with this battery. It's actually better than usual. The actual cranking is 735, so it's in good shape. Now it might sound like I'm beating a dead horse here, but you gotta check the battery in modern cars. All the computer systems work with a certain amount of voltage. It's in excellent shape, so we can forget having problems with the battery creating codes that don't mean anything. Now they're also trying to sell them, of course, all kinds of things, like they gotta reseal the engine because it's leaking oil. As I look here, it's not dripping on the ground. Really, it's an older car with 138,000 miles on it. Expect to see things like this. You can see down here, there's a little seepage. It's not even touching the exhaust system. UV leak dye with its ultraviolet light, when I look around, I don't even see any glowing anywhere. So the leak is extremely slow. Heck, my old Celica's been seeping like that for over 10 years. I don't care. I'm not taking the engine apart to replace things that just have a tiny bit of seepage. Got a big old army jet flying over, cargo plane. Well, back to fixing. And on this particular design, this is a V6. You'd have to change both valve cover gaskets. Since it's a V6 Nissan engine, the front valve cover isn't too bad. But the back valve cover, you gotta take the intake manifold off to get to that. That is a gigantic job. It doesn't smell. It's not leaking on the exhaust. It doesn't drip to the ground. I would not spend a ton of money on this old car for something that dumb. It's not worth the headache. Now, if it was dripping on the exhaust and smoking, sure. If it was dripping on the ground, sure. But like my Celica, it's been that way for 10 years. I don't care, it still runs fine. Now really, go to a dealer, they're gonna try to sell you everything. And you go with a car that is this old, it's 18 years old, with all that mileage, they're gonna try to sell you everything. Find a guy like me, an honest, independent mechanic, to tell you the truth. Don't go throwing your money away for nothing. Struts are still tight. Wow, I really got to hold on to this thing. Amazing. Somebody must have changed them. See how she starts up. Starts right up. Doesn't have a backup camera. Step on the gas. It's still got some pickup to it. Yeah, the transmission, I can feel it's got a little jolt to it. It's got a little wear. I mean, people drive these Maximas pretty hard. And I can also hear it needs wheel bearings. Hear that noise? Definitely needs some wheel bearings, which hilariously enough, the Nissan dealer didn't say anything about that because of course they probably didn't road test it. I see this all the time. They just try to sell things to people and then the things that are actually worn don't even talk about because the only way you're going to hear these wheel bearings is by taking it for a test drive. They hardly ever take them for test drives. They just try to sell them crap. And it's coming from the back. It definitely needs rear wheel bearings. You can really hear them rolling now. The faster you go, the louder they get. Those rear wheel bearings are wearing out. You don't have to say though, those wheel bearings, man, they are loud. Let's jack it up and listen to them. Get the wheel up in the air. Spin this one. This one's not too bad. It is one, I can hear some noise, but without the weight of the car on it, it's not really making any noise at all. But check out the tires while we're here. The tread is starting to separate right off. Look, the whole thing. These tires are dangerous and need replacing. Check up the other side, you can hear, look at that. The wheel bearing's so bad it's wobbling. And it's so bad, it's destroyed this tire. The tire's starting to come apart too. You can see it hit a curb that probably broke the wheel bearing, but this is dangerous. It needs to be fixed right away. And they didn't even catch that at the dealer. Comes a big old jet again. Getting pretty close here, at the treetop level. And let's hope they're just practicing and they don't have to go over to the Ukraine. But getting back to the car, this is so typical. The Nissan dealer tried to sell him a bunch of crap he didn't really need, but the most dangerous thing on the car, bad tires and a right rear wheel bearing that's ready to fall off, they didn't even tell him about. Because like I tell people, half the time, they don't even road test the things. He took it in to see what's going on. He tried to sell him a bunch of crap. They didn't even drive around. An idiot could have driven this thing 500 feet. What's that noise? Jack it up, the wheel's ready to fall off because the wheel bearing's going out. So, that just shows you the lack of quality at a Nissan dealership. I see it all the time. But especially at Nissan dealers, they seem to have this thing. In Houston, I saw the same thing. No different here in Tennessee than it was there. They just thought to make money, and they didn't even diagnose the car correctly and gave him a dangerous car that the wheel might be ready to fall off because the wheel bearing's breaking, and they didn't even mention it to him. It's a very simple job. You don't have to press anything. The hub bolts off and bolts on. And AutoZone has one for 69 bucks. Just bolts on and off. The guy doesn't work on his own car, so I'm going to show him. Do that first. Put that wheel bearing on. I mean, the whole assembly's only 69 bucks at AutoZone. Bolt that on and get 2 new tires in the rear because they're dangerous. They're separating. They're starting to come off. Oddly enough, the front tires are still fine. The side separated and all. But now that I look at it, it's no surprise because, ta-da, the rear tires, what does it say? Da-da-da-da! Made in Mexico! They may be Goodyears, but they're made in Mexico. Low quality. At many dealerships, they try to charge you for a whole bunch of stuff that you don't need. And in this case, the most dangerous thing, a wheel that's ready to fall off, they didn't even diagnose. Obviously, they did not road test the car. Anybody can hear that. Unless they have deaf mechanics. Anybody driving this thing can tell something's really bad in the rear. And in this case, not only the tire's bad, but the right rear one, it's ready to fall off. Missing something like that, only a complete novice working on a car would miss that. And they're supposedly the expert dealers with the great mechanics. That's all I gotta say. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Hey, Nero says, Hyundai and Kia are the most stolen cars in Wisconsin. How do you feel that Kia and Hyundai are so bad in Milwaukee, Wisconsin? They're the most stolen cars. I see now you just pull the ignition key out and mess with it to start it. Yeah, they're easy to steal. But on the other hand, it shows that there's some dumb thieves in Wisconsin because they're stealing crappy cars. They don't hold up in the long run. Though, I guess, let's look pragmatically at the situation. If you're stealing a car, you're probably not thinking, gee, well, this thing lasts 300, 400, 500,000 miles. You steal a car, either you're going to sell it somewhere else, like when I was in Houston, a lot of people, they had cars stolen. They ended up in Mexico. They would just quick ship them down to Mexico and sell them down there. So, generally, the person who steals a car isn't worried about long-term durability of the vehicle. Just that they're easy to steal, and that's why they're stealing a Kias than Hyundai because they're just easier to steal. And once people find out, hey, these things are pretty easy to steal, people start stealing them like mad because they know, hey, look, this is easy to do. They're not thinking about the long-term viability of the car because they're stealing it. They can't register. It's a stolen car, so there's not that much you can do with a stolen car. You're not going to be driving another 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 miles in most circumstances. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.